Good afternoon. Yes, stand up. Thank you, Bert. Good afternoon. It's a great day. It is a great day. It's so pretty outside. I'm President Joyce Montgomery, and the year of inspired action. And speaking of inspired, last week Jean made, I think it was a brag butt about our Halifax group that we helped them to get their club started. And I wanted to just talk about that just for a second. Excuse me, I have a fly up here. Thank you. Uh, that we were part of the district of gathering that club and getting it together. And I want to, is it on? It's the credit to the people who worked hard in our club. And they were David and Sherry Hartman. They were Jean Bollendorf and John Montgomery. And I think we owe them, since they're so good, a nice round because they worked hard to get this club going. And we want to thank you. What start another one? Whoa, next year, next year. But I want you to look. This is our Halifax club. Look at these people. Aren't that great? These are the people from the Halifax Club, and they're stuffing backpacks. They have been at work. They, John can tell me when they formed. Springtime. They have done several projects, and they have one coming up this weekend that they are due, or this week that they're doing for the South Boston library. They are going to be going and doing crafts for an hour with the kids at the library. So they are very active. We're very proud of them. And I wanted you to meet them. So this is not all of them. I think there's some missing, but they're pretty good. It's a great community mix, and we're very proud to be a part of it. So thanks to all those who participated. Okay, our introspection and our Pledge of Allegiance today is David Spangler.
Notice that grin from John. When I walked in, he looked at me, and there weren't many people here yet, and he said, "You're ready for the moment of introspection?" And I looked a little bit closer and realized, no, I'm not aware of that. You know, are any of us busy? Do you miss emails? So I want to try to tie in what we're doing here with all the neat things we do and as one of the largest Kiwanis clubs in the world, and the fact that we do so many different things that helps improve our our city in the valley. And just a couple quick things. Jason and Carolyn and I have known each other for years. We were in the same advertising PR firm together. Paul's a new friend in the back, and he's coming Friday to do some deck work for us. If you remember when Robert Turcott spoke, he pointed me out back there and said, "Well, Dave's reinvented himself several times, etc." The point being, I'm busy, and sometimes I drop the ball, but I want to give you a reason why that's happened. Donna's niece has three children. They're ages 6, 4, and 2, and they are high energy. Another part of Donna's family is from Wyoming. They have 5 children, and they're all under 7 years old. So that's 8 kids, all under 7 years old, and they have been playing on our ballroom floor in our house. And so, if you would excuse me, that's important, but it's also important what we do. So, just a little background for why I don't have the normal moment of introspection. Let's say the prayers. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry.
Now I'd like to ask Hetzel to come up and introduce our guest.
I will apologize already for mispronunciations and other errors, but I'm very happy to introduce our guest this week, Diana Adams Gonzalez with Edge Home Finance, and is a guest of Melissa Woodson and Jean Bollendahl. Please stand. Thank you. Also, Jason and Carolyn Kaiser from Blue Cow Ice Cream. And I gotta love that. A guest of Bart Wilner. Would you stand? Thank you. Also, Roy Butcher, Lungsted Insurance, also a guest of Bart Wilner. Thank you. And John McKay, guest of Don Chichester. Yes. Right over here, at the lead table. Thank you very much.
Hey, Hetzel, did you wear a blue shirt for any particular reason? Oh, thought maybe it was for the blue cow. Okay. Oh, yeah, and Kiwanis. You could add that to your shirt collection. All right, announcements. Steve McGraw, you're up first. Steve is always first, isn't he?
Am I the only one who gets a quip from John? Am I the only one who comes up here and gets some kind of a quip from John Montgomery? Everybody else does that too? Okay. I don't feel slighted now. The Fun Committee is having its next gathering, pop-up gathering at Ramini's on Brambleton Avenue from 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday evening. We'd like to see as many of you there as possible. We're going to have a good time. It's in the back room. Thank you.
If it's in the back room, that might be kind of exciting. Y'all don't want to miss it. I'm trying to encourage you. Come. All right. The Environment Committee meeting today, right? Is that yes? It is a yes. Okay. Right after the meeting today. David Hartman, would you like to come and tell us some good news? And Teddy. Yes.
All right. You're going to just speak into the mic. No lapel today.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Hello. As you know, I'm president-elect and getting ready for my term in October. And I'm asking all of you that are chairmen, please submit your budgets for this coming year. And I also would like you to confirm if you're going to be willing to continue as chairman into the coming year. I know the budget deadline was August 1st, falls on Saturday. I thought I'd stretch it to next Wednesday. So if you can get budget requests in by next Wednesday, John Montgomery will be sending out a budget form for you to fill out. And we want to try to find out where we are with the budget So as we move forward with our grants, we know how much we can give. The other part, I want to ask chairmen to check in with your committees, the memberships. Those of you that are new, please look at the variety of committees you can be part of, and please sign up and be part of one of our committees. So I thank you all for your participation and look forward to working with you as we get into October. Please come up with the budgets. Thank you.
Sherry Hartman here. Yes, I'm related to this young man. Proud to claim him. I want to call your attention to a sign up sheet on your tables for the nature park. A number of you sitting here have already put in yeoman's effort to keep our wildflower pollinator gardening a buzz. And indeed, it's flourishing. It has been visited by senior citizens from area nursing homes, thanks to the Clean Valley Council, and they've been enjoying your work. So, big shout out and thanks to those of you who have helped. Most notably, recently, Jason Poff. I don't know if Jason is here today, but Jason took over last week. Mother Nature's been helping out with a little bit of rain, yay. But Ken Briggs is teaming up with Sarah. If we don't get rain, we'll meet out there at the garden. But please, I do need a little bit more help in August. So if you would take a look at the available weeks and let me know if you could help us out. I'll meet you there. I'll walk you through it. Thanks to Tom Bamford, we now have a new sprinkler, which does a lot of the work. All you have to do is pretty much hook up the hose. So please think about helping us out. Thanks so much. Oh, okay.
Additional reminder on the 12th at 5:30, that's Wednesday, the 12th of August at 5:30, we have another book club, and I encourage anybody who's interested, you have a book you like, come and talk about it.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
Don Witt, there he is.
It sounded like it went off.
Eat the mic. That's what you got to do. Hi, I'm Don Witt, and it's this is our last final push for the Ducky Derby. Right now, our club is number one, first place out of 150 clubs donating to the Ducky Derby, but we can't rest on our feathers yet. Let's be honest, buying a ticket is basically playing the lottery, but it's a lottery that everybody wins. 100% of your proceeds goes into 11 neonatal trauma hospitals, of which Carillion is one of them. In fact, Carillion told us the other day that their last $4,000 that we donated went to blanket warmers. And when these little kids go into the hospital and get IVs, those hospital rooms are cold and scary, and a warm blanket makes the massive distant difference in calming them down. Help us stay on the top of the flock, if we may, and make a real impact. Let's kick in a few bucks. You can scan in the QR code that's on the table, or you can see me as you leave, and I'll take care of any donations that you wish to make. So let's show the district that we're still number one club in this district. Quack, quack.
Thank you, Don. We also have the grants. We have sent out the grants and we're receiving grants, right, Randy? If you happen to know anyone who was thinking of submitting one, now is the time because we are in the process. Jean, would you like to come up and tell us about the event coming up August 8th?
Good memory, President Joyce. Okay, on your tables, you have a flyer that looks like this: August the 8th, the Commonwealth Day of Play. We're a co sponsor for this event, and the idea is to get kids outside playing off of technology, having lots of family fun. And I'm very excited to say I have several volunteers signed up to help. I still have room for a couple more volunteers, so I'd love to have you join us. I've got Jim Graves, Mike McAvoy, Don Witt, myself, Linda Jensen. Am I missing anyone? Fred? Fred's going to come too. All right, great. We're going to be setting up the tent. We're going to be setting up the big Kiwanis blow up out front as well. And then we're going to have our cornhole game set up, and we're going to be giving out some information and some kids' games and toys. So thanks very much, everyone, and hope to see you on the 8th.
Okay, time for brag bucks. Does anybody have oh, we have a bragger. Does anybody have anybody else? Braggers, come on. Y'all have become very shy with your brags. But not Mike Bell.
Thank you, President Joyce. Mike Bell, a number of years ago, I stood before this group and explained that I have no feelings. Well, it turns out that I do. I've learned this in the weeks and days ahead of my daughter Victoria's wedding, which was this past Saturday at a place called Bella Rose in Lynchburg, which, by the way, is well worth the 1 hour drive. Drive down there. It is a very lovely wedding venue. And my daughter Victoria married a young man named Hayden Cron, who is an absolute gentleman. Maybe think of a young version of Alex Bowman, perhaps. He's a software engineer for Cole Morgan in Radford. My daughter is a full-time student at Liberty, getting her degree in biblical studies, as well as full-time teaching ballroom dancing at Arthur Murray. And they're going to make their home in Christiansburg as soon as they get back from their honeymoon, which is in Clearwater. The brag, a few years ago when my son got married, I based the brag on my age because my birthday had just happened and the combined age of them, and it came out to an even $100. Not quite as fortunate this time. It's $105, the combined age. So here's to my daughter Victoria.
My name is Ken Briggs, and we hear a lot about the wildflower garden and the nature park, and it's beautiful and certainly enhances the community. But it's more than that. At my church, we have a ministry that works with folks who battle mental health issues. And about 3 weeks ago, one of our members, who has been my guest at a Kiwanis meeting, called me and she said, Ken, you won't believe this. She lives in a subsidized housing community. He said, Ken, we're going to the nature park, and they're going to have binoculars for us, and we're going to be able to see the bees and the birds. She was so excited. And Friday they went. By the way, this has been put together by Courtney Plaster, and her Clean Valley Council is developing these trips to supervise folks who need to get out of their buildings and get outside. But my friend Linda said it was just wonderful. Thanks to everybody, Sherry, and who have planted these flowers and pulled the weeds and watered. Don, for your design work. It's a beautiful part of our community, and it's starting to affect many people. Thank you.
J.C. Taylor here. I have a very interesting brag. I'm going to brag on the good old Internal Revenue Service. Last week, I received a letter from the Internal Revenue that said you are due a refund. Fill out this paperwork because we have to put this money into your account. Ask for my driver's license, take a picture, front and back of your driver's license. I did it. They asked for everything, include my mother's maiden name. Want your bank account information, even the PIN number. Fill all this stuff out and did it online. 3 days later, I got a letter. Mr. Taylor, thanks for filling all that information out. Now for the refund. I told my wife all along, I said, I know I paid too much tax this year. So I know I got something coming. So the letter said, Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor, your penalty for filing quarterly was $347. I said, oh, I'm going to get that back. Your penalty actually was $346. So we owe you $1. Thank you, Internal Revenue Service.
I know I'm invisible. I don't know how I can follow that. My name's Jeff Vick, and I'm a braggart. I have two brags today. The first one has to do with our fellow member Melissa Woodson and Ram House, which put on a spectacular opening reception last week that saw quite a few people from the city show up, great exposure, and launched the idea that this isn't just a shelter for the day for these people, but it's also a treatment center where people can go and get treatment for various disorders that they might have. This is a beautiful building. It's a dignified setting where our friends and neighbors from Roanoke Valley can get assistance if they need it. Also, I want to brag on our Roanoke College CKI club. We've been meeting this summer, and they are energized and ready to go for this fall. We had a meeting today with their president and treasurer, and we're getting involved with Virginia Tech CKI to cross-pollinate a little bit. And so high things to come. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Now I'd like to call up Mark Wilter to introduce our speakers today. You may have to do some changing up here. Okay.
Thank you, Madam President, and good afternoon. It is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Jason Kaiser. Jason and his wife, Carolyn, and Carolyn's seated right over here with us, and also Carolyn's father, Roy Butcher, who was introduced a moment ago. Jason and his wife, Carolyn, started Blue Cow Ice Cream Company right here in Roanoke, Virginia, in 2017. They had a vision, creating small batch artisan ice cream made from quality ingredients and inspired by our local community. What began as one neighborhood ice cream shop has grown into a successful Virginia-based company with 6 locations, over 100 employees, and growing. Blue Cow has stayed true to their commitment, craftsmanship, to creativity, and to the community. They're serving up smiles, one handcrafted scoop at a time. Just last year, Jason and Carolyn were awarded the Entrepreneur of the Year Award from the Southwest Virginia Business Hall of Fame, put on by Junior Achievement. Please join me in welcoming entrepreneur, community leader, ice cream maker, and my good friend, Jason Kaiser.
Hello, everybody. Let me do a couple things real quick. Get my specs on here where I can see. Okay. So, thanks for having us in. As Bart said, my name's Jason Kaiser. My wife Carolyn and I started Blue Cow about 9 years ago. And speak louder. How about that? Okay, so um, Bart, thanks for the introduction. Really appreciate that, and for the opportunity to come here and speak. I think it's goofing up. It's good. Okay, I'm loud. I can just talk if you want. Anyways, so we're excited to be here and spend a minute with you guys talking about a little bit about our company and how we started, and what we have focused on to grow our business into kind of an expanding regional ice cream brand. Um, so, with that, I'll jump in and ask this question: who here likes ice cream? Get a show of hands. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, so it's a friendly crowd. Um, excuse me. So people always ask me, how did you get in the ice cream business? Which is a fair question. And really, if you had asked me 10 years ago or Carolyn 10 years ago, or if you had told me, hey, you're going to be running a commercial ice cream business, and when I was in the insurance business, I would have thought, well, probably not. I think you're crazy. But here we are, 9 years into the deal, and it's been great and a hectic ride at times, but we figured a lot of things out along the way, and I want to take you kind of behind the counter to show you what craft really means to us and what we focus on. So really for us, we have two non-negotiables in our business. One is we obsess over what goes into our ice cream. And we obsess over how people feel when they step into our business and they come to our counter. And I think it's this commitment to these two qualities that have made kind of a fierce fan base, fanatical at times, and what's really put the wind in our sails to let us keep growing from one store, out across the region, and maybe further on into the region as we continue to go. So how did this all really happen? Really, it was kind of a serendipitous chain of events late in the summer of 2016. Carolyn one evening put forth the idea that, hey, maybe we should open a craft ice cream shop. I was on the couch, very heavy-eyed, probably 3/4 of the way asleep. And I heard her and I thought about it. And, I don't know. Didn't really wave it off, but I probably fell on to sleep. But anyway, there are a couple, you're probably thinking that's pretty random thing to throw out there, right? So here's a couple things why that wasn't totally random. One, we enjoyed the experience of ice cream very much as a family with our kids who were 4 and 6 at the time. And we also had a little small batch countertop ice cream freezer that we kept at our house that we would tinker on just very occasionally, but we did make ice cream from time to time. And two, I had a lot of meaningful experience as a Baskin Robbins employee when I was in high school. I worked for a franchisor. So, basically I would spend a lot of time checking the old VCR after the owner left to see if she had slid in a tape and hit record for the cameras in the store to know if we could goof off or if we had to work. These are the things that drive me crazy as an owner today. But long and short of it is, I did learn a lot about store operations, how to roll an ice cream scoop, how to make a shake, how to deal with customers, make change. So it was some background experience that I had that I hadn't thought about for 25 years. I mean, it was totally out of my head. So I'm crazy. I mean, I'm glad Carolyn brought that up because I would have never put the two together. So anyway, here's kind of the crazy part about this story. Probably a week or two after she had said that, the place we would go get ice cream was actually in the building we operate today. It was called Hits. Some of you may remember that business, some of you may not, but they were a mom and pop's ice cream operation, and they had a small shop down on the river where we kind of run our business today. They had closed. They just closed, put up the shingle, hung up the shingle, so they were getting out of the business. So I feel like that really was kind of our spark to do something. So being in sales with my current career at the time, I wasn't afraid for a door knock or a cold call. So I went down there to the business one day and I knocked on the door and I saw the guy inside sitting in a chair. He had a mop with him. And he came over and he said, "Well, we're closed." I said, "Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I saw it on the door. That's why I'm here." I said, "I'm interested in getting in the ice cream business." And he kind of laughed at me a little bit. He did. He laughed at me. He said, "Ah, you're crazy. You don't want to do this." I was like, "Well, I don't know. I think I do." He said, "Well, you need to go learn about making ice cream. You should look into an ice cream school. And then you can decide." Way that we need to look for an ice cream school. So we found the two oldest running ice cream schools in the country, one at Penn State and the other at the University of Guelph in Canada, which is outside of the country. Penn State was full, so I signed up and went up to Canada to attend an ice cream maker's short course. And I'm going up there as a technology graduate from Florida State. I've been programming code for a number of years. And then I got into commercial insurance with my father-in-law here in town and had been selling insurance policies for 10 years. Knew nothing about ice cream other than I like to eat it and occasionally I make it. So went up there, had a pretty good experience other than the metric system. Couldn't really figure out the math too good, but ended up making it work. Came back, kind of energized, motivated, and told Carolyn, I think this is something that we could get into and I would enjoy doing. I think she would enjoy doing. So we kind of decided at that point, hey, we're gonna make a run at this. So our plan at the time was we're gonna hire a team of 5 to 6 high school kids, maybe a manager, maybe not, but maybe a manager if we could find one. And the plan was that I was going to go in before work at 4:30 in the morning, a couple times a week, make ice cream. And then I would go off to work and do my work. And then Carolyn would go to her profession. She was in banking, bank marketing, and she would come home at night and do the marketing activities that we needed to do to get the word out. So that was our idea that we were going with. That was our plan. It was not a good one, but it was a plan, and we did jump off. And so, we ended up working out a lease with the owner of Hits that was in the building where we operate now. He actually owns the building, so he ended up becoming our landlord, and spent months making ice cream recipes at our house in our home kitchen. And coming up to the opening, we felt good. We had a team of 5 or 6 people. We actually had hired a manager that was going to help out with the front of house and also help me in the back a little bit. So we felt real good about where we were. We opened the business on a Friday night in May of 2017, and we scheduled it from 6 to 9 to work around our 9 to 5s. And we went over there and opened up, and I built up around 20 or 25 tubs of ice cream thinking we'd be good until Monday, and I'd go back in and make some more for the week. Man, we got completely busted almost on the first night. Now, we did give it away that first night, so I can understand why there was a lot of people there. But the reality of the situation is, on Saturday, when we opened for business for real for the first day, there were lines out the door nonstop. I mean, constantly, 50, 60 people in line at a time. And I mean, the community's response was just immediate to what we were doing. And that's pretty much how it's been from day one. I mean, the store stays really busy. And we knew, okay, we don't have a side hustle project here. More than likely, we have a real business we can develop. And that's kind of how we launched the business, got it going. Our projections were all tossed out the window. We did everything completely wrong. We didn't know what we were doing. We kind of been building the playbook over the years. But we knew, after the first weekend, we pretty much knew we had something. So fast forward a couple years and a few very long summers of us trying to do insurance for me and ice cream, Carolyn doing banking and ice cream. And by the way, we were educating our kids at home with COVID. That was another fun part of the equation. But, we decided after that it was time for me to ditch the coat and tie and go to work full time for Blue Cow. And so that's what happened. And thankfully, Carolyn was able to come to work with us full time a few years later. But that's the genesis of our business. It just kind of started as an idea randomly one night. Went up and learned a little bit about it, not very much. Came back and put ourselves out there, and we've been going ever since. So I'd mentioned one of the things we obsess about is our production, what goes into our product. So I want to tell you a little bit about what that means for us. Ooh, get my mouse going. Well, there we go. So, what does craft mean? What does it truly mean? So, craft gets thrown around a lot in food service. But in our kitchen, craft is not a marketing buzzword. It truly is an operational discipline. It's the Blue Cow way. It's what we do and it's how we do it. And, what I mean by that is uncompromising sourcing. We're only buying the best ingredients, Belgian chocolates, fresh fruits, great nuts, etc. We have techniques that we use to develop the flavors and showcase ingredients. So it's how we use the items in our ice creams. And we have a centralized plant here in Roanoke that allows us to control the quality. So if you eat a scoop of sea salt brickle here in Roanoke, you're going to get the same scoop in Richmond or Virginia Beach or wherever you might be enjoying your scoop. So that's kind of what craft means to us at a high level. Oh, where's my slide? Here we go. I ran over one of my slides. But, if you look at this slide here, this is how we do it at our production kitchen. So, people ask me all the time, especially if I'm talking to a news outlet or somebody who's writing something, what makes your product better or how are you different? Well, this is the answer right here. When you make real craft ice cream, you don't buy prefabricated bases. You don't buy brownies that have been sitting on a shelf in a freezer for 3 or 4 months that were made 3 or 4 months before that. You don't take shortcuts using extracts or anything along those lines. You basically control every variable going into the product. What's the fat percentage? What's the overrun, which is how much air goes into the product? And air is a secret ingredient in ice cream. A lot of people don't realize that, but think if you didn't have air in your ice cream, it would be like a solid brick of frozen milk, right? So if you've ever whipped a bowl of whipped cream, it starts out as a liquid and you whip it up and it puffs up. Well, that's what the air does in ice cream. Too much of it is a problem. Too little of it, and it's not scoopable. So you got to get it dialed in just right. So like if you've ever been to Kroger and you see a big pot of ice cream that's Kroger branded, for example, and they're selling it for $5, all you're buying is a pot of air. I mean, if you pick it up and lift it, you're like, whoa, that is light. Anyway, so, basically we build nearly everything going into our product from scratch. So you got our bakers there making cookies. We have fresh corn we start with. We don't make Oreos and we don't make vanilla wafers. But we make everything else. And I think that is a key to the success of our product is that you can taste it in the flavor. The other thing I'd mentioned was our techniques, how we do things. A lot of ice cream manufacturing is full of flavoring extracts. So we make a coffee ice cream, and we could do it with a coffee extract. It'd be much faster and easier just to pour an extract in there. We start with coffee beans from a local roaster, grind them, get them into the mix, let it sit for 24 hours. Then we have to press it out and strain it, and you get this really concentrated coffee base. And the flavor just speaks for itself. It's just so much better than having an extracted flavor in there. So we never take shortcuts. We always take the long cut, and we think it helps the product stand out. So I was going to show you all kind of how this ends up going into a bucket of ice cream. So see if this will work. Now, okay, so I'll stop because this thing just kind of goes on and on. But what you have there is a small batch freezer that makes ice cream 4.5 gallons at a time. So we fill a 3-gallon tub and then a half of another 3-gallon tub by hand all week long. And it truly is a handmade product when we say craft handmade in small batches. So that takes about 15 minutes to fill a tub and a half. So it's very time consuming, but you have an operator standing there hand layering in the caramel or the Oreos or whatever it is. And that's just kind of a look at how we do it. I want you guys to get a see about how that process works. The other question I get all the time is, how do you guys develop your flavors, or where do you get your recipes? So, there I am at Penn State looking good in the hairnet, but that was one of I ended up going to a second ice cream school, given all the problems with the metric on the first one. And, I learned the science and technology of ice cream making and manufacturing, which included principles of like sanitation, how you freeze things to, have better freezing properties. But most importantly, it's how you take raw materials, milk, cream, sugar, milk solids, non-fat, etc., and you make a base mix, which is the foundation of every ice cream recipe. The base mix is like a viscous, cream-colored, sweet liquid that every ice cream starts as. And it's, I've likened it to a canvas before because it's really neutral and accepting the flavors. But, starting with a good base mix is key to a good quality product. You want something that's heavy in butter fat, but not too much butter fat because it'll linger on the tongue and can be almost making you sick if it's really hot outside. And not overly sweet. So that's one of the main things I learned up at Penn State. They weren't teaching us like, this is how you make chocolate ice cream, or this is how you make strawberry ice cream. It's like, this is how you make a good base mix. This is how you keep your plants sanitized or your production room sanitized. This is how you freeze things to get the smallest ice crystals. So from there, we had to come back and actually develop all our flavors. Like, we didn't have any recipes given to us. Like I said, there was no playbook about how to operate the store other than what I'd learned at Baskin Robbins, which at the end of the day really wasn't very much. But on the flavors, we had to create them all from scratch. So Carolyn and I would work at home with that little guy in the middle there. That's a little benchtop ice cream maker. And man, we just made hundreds of different things at the house. We tried all kinds of things. But every recipe starts right there with an idea. And we run it through the little pilot machine and see what we can make. We adjust fats and sugars and inclusions. And, we were looking for something that you immediately recognize as the flavor, smooth mouthfeel, clean finish. And that's really the process. So as far as what we're making, we started with a set of core classic flavors. These are things might expect to find at an ice cream shop. So chocolate brownie, vanilla, etc., strawberry. But we put our twist on everything. So, we have strawberry balsamic instead of just strawberry. Then we have, of course, a couple of flavors that are now kind of known for our brand, which is sea salt brickle, blue cow patty, and goat cheese with blueberry swirl. These are things that run on our menu year round. And if we took them off, our regulars would revolt. I mean, they would just go crazy. So we leave those on year round. And that was kind of our opening menu. And then in addition, we have these seasonal rotators that we put on and off to keep foot traffic coming back. This can be based on culinary pairings. It could be a spin on a dessert. For example, we like banana pudding and we like key lime pie. So we ended up making both of them into an ice cream. So, at the end of the day, we remain real focused on starting with a quality base mix, using quality ingredients. We're not chasing a trend just to develop some buzz. We want to put something out that customers are going to come and really enjoy eating on versus just having some crazy buzz trend. You're not going to find any mac and cheese ice cream down at Blue Cow. You're not going to find any mayonnaise ice cream, although we were talking with Duke's Mayonnaise out of Richmond about a collaboration on a mayonnaise ice cream. And man, I tell you, as much as I love mayonnaise, I just couldn't eat it in a spoon of ice cream. I mean, we made some and I tried it and it was just awful. So anyway, that's a little bit about how we come to flavors, how we make flavors. It truly is whatever we're feeling, whatever's inspired. We're constantly making new things. Just last week, we've been trying to get a peach worked up. Our kids, they get annoyed with us because we have a lot of ice cream in the freezer at home, but a lot of it's experimental. So they're wanting to eat it, and we tell them, no, this is for work. We have to grade this, and we have to, go through and taste it. You guys can't be getting into it, and they just shake their heads and walk off. They just don't understand. But anyway, that's how we go about it. So as I mentioned, we obsess about two things: the ice cream, what we're putting in it, and the customer experience. So, in addition to quality ice cream, what else do we serve? Anybody want to take a chime in on what else we serve? Cones, smiles, gummies, yeah, all good things. But I'm not talking about waffle cones or sprinkles. I'm talking about outstanding customer experiences. This is the second piece of our model that we think really drives our business is, you can make a great product, but if your interaction at the counter is flat or unforgettable, chances are you may not come back, and you certainly can't build a sustainable business if that's how your service is being delivered. So, if you think about our customer base, almost everybody is a potential customer for us, even the non-dairy people, because we make a non-dairy ice cream. But, think about ice cream. It's inherently in almost everybody's life in some way or another. We have first dates, we have weddings, we have proposals that have happened at our shop. We've been part of celebrations of life at the end of life for humans and pets. It's a really cool business in that respect. You see 90-year-olds with their 70-year-old kids. You see 30-year-olds with their 3-year-olds. You see 3-year-olds with their 75-year-old grandparents. I mean, it's just really it's across the gambit about who comes to get ice cream. So service is super important for us. And that's something that Carolyn's been focused on from day one, is building a culture to deliver genuine hospitality and excellent service experiences. And we do truly obsess over this. We have this thing in the business that we call the 10-second rule. And we're not talking about picking up a scoop off the floor. If it's dropped by accident, we cut that off at 5 seconds. But we're talking about how do you feel the minute or the top, 10 seconds after you walk through our door. What are you as a customer experiencing? Has anyone ever been to Blue Cow in the room? Does anybody want to share kind of what they experience when you come through the door? Long lines, true. Long lines are to be expected, especially after the dinner hour. But we hope you experience the smell of a fresh baked waffle cone as you walk through. That's aroma of vanilla and almond. That's what we put some vanilla and almond in our waffle cones, and it just smells so good. basically all my clothes pretty much smell like waffle cones. I call it my cologne these days. But we hope you smell waffle cones. We hope you see a clean shop, not a bunch of drips and drops everywhere, although it is a messy business. But, we want you to find a clean shop and a friendly staff that says hello and is not just standing there being order takers. We want them to be offering samples and to talk with you and to tell you about the ice cream. So, we feel great ice cream, great teams, great customer experience leads to that loyal fan base. And, that's allowed us to go from one store to a second and then on to a third, and kind of, how we've been able to scale our small batch ice cream beyond Roanoke really comes down to what we call our blueprint, the growth blueprint. So, as you go through expansion, one of the biggest challenges you can face is dilution, both in quality and in culture of the business. So as you get, you go from 5 people to 25 and 25 to 100, a lot can happen culturally if you don't manage that. So, we made a deliberate choice to grow the company through company-owned locations and centralized production rather than look at a franchising model where you just hand over your recipes and playbook to a third-party operator. You never know how they're going to operate. Are they going to dilute your brand or not? So our choice was to stay connected to the business, to focus on the 2 things we care about, the product and the experience, and not cut corners or rush the process. Just remain committed to those non-negotiables. And it's taken a lot of learning along the way. We wrote a standard operating procedures, and we just finished it 9 years ago. 9 years later, and it's still not finished. I'm sure we'll make changes, but it just took a long time to get everything together. But also it took perseverance. That's one thing with small business. When you start, pretty much everything goes wrong or can go wrong. That goes back to the first day we were open on Saturday. The first day, our point of sale that was 99.9% uptime guarantee went down. That 1/10 of percent, whatever, we were out. We couldn't process credit cards. We didn't know how much change to get because we'd never run a register like that. So I went down and had like a roll of dimes, dollars worth of pennies, some nickels and some quarters, and maybe 10 tens and a few fives. Anyways, we also ran out of money. So we had to go to Roy and Susan's house, my in-laws, and get this big jug of quarters and linty pennies and paper from the pocket down in there. And we were back in the back rolling coins on day one. It was crazy. But anyway, we've had trucks break down. We run our own logistics. We have ice cream delivery trucks that we run to our stores. They're constantly breaking down. Freezers break down. Just things always go wrong. So you have to have perseverance. Number 4. That's the last thing in our blueprint is you got to stay the course. As bad and as hard as it can be at times, you just got to stay the course. And, like the old saying goes, no use crying over spilt milk, which is what you got there in that picture. Probably 20 gallons of milk was on the floor. And you know how hard that is to mop up. It's awful. But anyway, that's a look at us. That's a little bit about our story. I don't know how we're doing on time. I was kind of trying to hustle through it so we didn't run over. But, I hope if you haven't been to one of our shops, you'll go check us out. And I'll leave it with some Q&A in case anybody has any questions they want to know more about. Be happy to answer. Store hours. The question is, what are our store hours? And we open at 11 a.m. and we close at 10 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. And then we close at 9 p.m. on Sunday through Thursday. So 11 to 9, Sunday through Thursday, 11 to 10. Oh. Hey, listen, I am asleep by about 9, so I don't know when we close. The question was, where are the stores located? So we have our flagship store here in Roanoke, along with our production plant here in Roanoke. And then we have 2 stores in Richmond, one out in West Short Pump, the other over near University of Richmond on Three Chopped Drive. We have one in Fredericksburg, right on William Street in downtown Fredericksburg. And we have two at Virginia Beach, one over near Sandbridge, which is our newest store out near Sandbridge Beach in Pungo. And the other one's over off Shore Drive, kind of near Fort Story, that area. The Roanoke store is right across Walnut Avenue Bridge on 1115 Piedmont. Write that down for the fun club. And take your meeting over there, because you can sit in the front room if you want. Yeah. Yeah, you can get there from the Greenway.
In high school, I worked for Silton ice cream storage warehouse out on the Aerial Way Drive.
Yep.
The temperature we had to keep there, the warehouse was -20 Fahrenheit.
Yes. That is true. That is absolutely true. When you pull ice cream off the little machine you saw, or any ice cream machine, it comes off at about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. It's kind of like soft serve consistency. Now, there's water in ice cream. Obviously, there's water in ice cream. So you got to freeze it solid in as short amount of time as possible. So that -20, and you need to have velocity. You need air moving so it can go around the tubs and buckets, because you want to freeze the ice cream down as quickly as you can. Because what happens is when an ice cream comes off, it has little microscopic ice crystals. And if they start to melt when they refreeze, they adjoin to the neighboring ice crystal. So they continually get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you can control that water movement by freezing it quickly and then keeping your product frozen and the temperature integrity where it needs to be at -20, all through the cold chain logistics. And that's why we run our own trucks. We can run them down to -20 with the Thermo King. We have these refrigerated box trucks. So that is very true still to the day. It's a good temperature.
Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
Second time I went to the store over there, I tried the Red Rooster coffee chocolate chip.
Yes.
And I'm sure you have a lot of other great flavors, but I've been back a bunch of times and I don't think about any other. Well, the question is, why the cow?
Okay. Great question. The question is, why did we name the business Blue Cow? And credit goes to Carolyn here. Naming a business is hard. It's like naming a kid, you know. We tried a lot of different things. And we came to Blue Cow because, one, we're in the Blue Ridge Parkway. Two, we felt like blue kind of signifies a maybe a cold color you might consider cold. Some people might think blue means down in the dumps, but we don't feel it that way. And then, so the Blue Ridge Parkway, the blue color, and then cow, obviously, for the dairy. We wanted something that would be portable to other areas if we wanted to grow. We thought about Roanoke this or Roanoke that, or Big Lick this or Big Lick that, you know, very specific to Roanoke. And we thought about Jason's ice cream. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, but that's how we came to the name Blue Cow, just kind of the region where we make it and the color and the coolness and the dairy. Yes. Mayonnaise. No, I mean, mayonnaise was truly awful, but I didn't think it was going to be good. Carolyn? Yeah, okay. Has anyone in here ever pulled through Wendy's and got a French fry and dipped it in a Frosty?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. If you haven't, try it. It's a nice little deal. You get a little salt, a little cold, a little chocolate. We wanted to do that in our ice cream, so we tried a chocolate ice cream with French fries in it. And the fries need to be warm for that to work. They were hard, you know, they were like little rocks of potatoes. We try.
It's gonna work this winter.
So, Surprise. Yeah. Well, I yeah, there's a couple that kind of one of them is we wanted to make an ice cream that was kind of like a um, cheesecake ice cream. So we made it using goat cheese in place of cream cheese. And we make it with that, and we use a blueberry ripple that goes through it. So it kind of cuts some of that tartness. So I thought that was going to be a good flavor. I personally liked it, but I wasn't sure how many people were going to go for goat cheese ice cream. And I'm telling you, that thing goes gangbusters. People come in there, they try it hesitantly, I might add, many of them. I don't know about the goat cheese. Everyone that tries it ends up ordering it. So that is one that we thought would be good, but we weren't sure it was going to be as popular as it is. We also make one with fresh basil. We buy basil from Big Lick Farm, which is Cameron here in town. He's over on 10th Street, and it's a great flavor. But it's not for everybody. But it's fresh, it's summery, it's really good. So go try it. One more question. Well, we make a non-dairy frozen dessert. Can't call it ice cream because it doesn't have dairy, but it uses. We started using coconut milk. Now we're using. Huh? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we use oat milk. Yeah, oat milk. So oat milk's really lean. So we put it in with like a sorbet base almost to give it some body and texture. But thank you. We gotta. I'm gonna stay around for any further questions. Please come see me. Otherwise, thank you very much. Turn the floor back over.
Thank you, Jason.
You're welcome.
Jason has asked for his honorarium to go to LEAP for local foods. I don't think that's a surprise. Thank you very much. You're welcome. That's fine. We wish.
Yeah, we'll be at the day of play if you're volunteering.
Oh, it's going to be at the day of play. Hey. All right. Well, that was very interesting. Makes you want to go get some ice cream right now. So thank you very much. All right. Next week, our speaker is Lee Learman with Virginia Tech Carilion School of Medicine. And don't forget what.
We got some free scoops for everybody here.
Oh, they have some free scoops for everyone here. Yay. But we have to see you, right? We have to come and see him for a free scoop. It's worth it. You can tell. All right. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Ramini's, 6 o'clock. Be there. See ya.